All right, back to the shutdown now with NBC Washington correspondent Alice Barr. And good morning to you, Alice. We said earlier in the show, before the break there, that the good news is that it's getting this vote passed. The bad news is that we're still a few votes away from getting the government to open back up. Will the bill pass the Senate, and how likely is it that the House will stand in the way?
Yeah, assuming that everything stands the way that it did last night when the senators headed home, it does seem that we're on track for a final vote to be approved in the Senate, potentially as soon as today. And then up next is going to be the House. The House is in recess, and members have to come back to Washington to vote. They've been in recess since September, so to some criticism from even, in fact, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia has been complaining that her chamber has not been in session while all this has been going on. But as soon as the Senate votes to approve final passage, then there are 48 hours for House members to get back here. And so that gives you 3 days. It is certainly possible that this could all be wrapped up and President Trump could sign it into law by the end of this week if things stand as they are now. Yeah,
you mentioned the president. He's showing some confidence that this thing could be coming near an end. What sort of maneuvering is the White House doing behind the scenes?
So President Trump's role here has been interesting because he has stayed largely, as you said, behind the scenes. Typically in shutdowns, presidents have wanted to show kind of authority and show that they're doing everything possible to hold lawmakers' feet to the fire and to get them to reopen the government. But President Trump has not hosted Democrats at the White House since a failed meeting before this all unfolded. And he has certainly on social media and in interviews repeatedly blamed Democrats and just put the pressure campaign over and over on Democrats, and has encouraged Republicans to hold the line very firmly, to such an extent that we really arrived where we are now, where the Democrats who crossed over and joined Republicans essentially said the pain had gotten too bad in terms of SNAP benefits, SNAP low-income food benefits, that the administration just had made clear they were going to make it tough for folks to get those full benefits. And then as well on flights, things had gotten to a pain point that wasn't really working in the estimation of these Democrats. So we have now heard from Senator Markwayne Mullin, who's an Oklahoma Republican. He signaled that the White House had given this deal that passed overnight its blessing. So I think his role here was really just to kind of stay in the background, but stay firm, tell Republicans to stay firm, and now allow this measure here to move forward.
Yeah, it seems like once the Transportation Department put this Friday deadline to promise 10% cut in flights, that's when things really got moving a little bit, got ramped up. Are we still eyeing this as a finish line by the end of this week?
Yeah, it does seem that that's likely, and there are a number of factors that conspired here. That is one of them. Again, according to the Democrats who crossed over and pointing to these pain points, things getting more and more complicated in the airspace closing in on Thanksgiving. And the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, had made it clear that things could get even worse than that 10% cut that was scheduled to take effect on Friday, and that a lot of people, he said, who wanted to get home for Thanksgiving just wouldn't be able to. That was going to become untenable, and the food assistance was really becoming difficult, painful, real world, just too much to bear for a lot of Americans out there, and the Democrats who crossed over felt like that became a real tipping point.
All right, Alice, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.